how do you normally just handle your wellness and take care of yourself while you are dealing with all the things that are happening for back to school? So, in every place, it's going to be different in terms of in the United States. So, I am currently in the United States, in Florida, and in Florida, we start school around August. But in some places, like in New York, when I used to live in New York City, it was in September. So it's such a huge transition of time. And so we're going to dive into that. But first, I want to make sure that you subscribe to the Mommy Consultant. This is a place where parenting and wellness meet and it's equaling generational wellness. So click the subscribe button now. And so, why are we talking about this? Now, this is a struggle for so many parents, for our teachers, for administration, but it's really important to know about our emotions that come up when we talk about going back to school. There could be a lot of fear that's involved for our kids. I'm not sure how to navigate going back to school, or if you have a kindergartner who's actually never gone to school there. They've gone to a VPK program, and so there's a lot of fear about what's going to happen. And there could be some confusion that normally happens in the beginning of the year. Everything from figuring out the car line all the way down to homework and what that's going to look like. So there's a lot of anxiety that keeps coming in. So I first want to say let's normalize those emotions that start to come up for our parents and for our kids. When we can first do that, then we can start to dive into how do we handle these emotions that start to come up. Well, let's first start talking about a lot of the statistics and issues that are happening, and we're going to focus a lot more on our K to second grade. The reason why I'm doing that is because I think that we don't realize that time period from kindergarten to second grade, a lot of our kids are learning their foundational things. So they're learning like their reading, they're learning their writing, they're learning their basics of math. So K through 12 to second grade is very important. And my kindergartner went to a school that was particularly K through second grade. And I thought that was a really great environment because it's just such a kind of like it's everything is new. You still want to play and hang out, and that's why my little one often says a lot, like, I miss like preschool because we used to play all the time. And then what happens is after second grade, we get into third and fourth grade, and things do get a little bit more serious academically. There's not much time to play. So in the United States, there's 49.4 million students that are enrolled in public school. So we're going to focus kind of like a lot on public school. A lot of my moms that I work with are trying to navigate a public school, private school, or charter system. But some of the stats are right now is from public schools. And there's a lot of this is from the Department of Education, a lot of educational departments. These are a lot of the stats for that. So, public schools reported that students' mental health were among the top three most common concerns for both students and parents. I have worked in schools as a therapist, and I can say that is very true. Mental health is really important and a common concern for our students and parents. And parents are really unsure about the best way to tackle the school year. How do we do this? How do we deal with all the mental health and stressful issues that are happening, but my child also has to learn. And so trying to navigate what that looks like. Now, when parents are involved in the child's schooling, some of the statistics show that there's a higher academic achievement, school engagement, and motivation. So I really want to say that again. There's like higher academic achievement, there's school engagement, and there's motivation. And that is linked to parents really being involved in the child's schooling. So whether that's doing your homework, going to PTA meetings if you can, but a lot of it is going to be even asking questions. So asking some questions that might just be helpful. So about the school setting. So usually that's one of the hardest things for parents to do is ask those questions, especially when we're tired. Please let me know if that is you. You can feel free to comment if you have really felt tired a lot of times, you don't even want to ask anyone how their day is, much less your child. So we've all been there before. Homework help has actually a small negative impact on student achievement. But the positive impacts are about again, that student motivation and engagement in school. And for K through second grade, we want our kids to be motivated. It's their beginning time of going into school. So we want them to be motivated to going into school. And so a lot of schools, particularly from K through second grade, may focus a little bit more on that student motivation and engagement rather than necessarily like grades, achievement. And I know this is a common issue that kind of comes up, especially for parents. It's, I want to make sure I have a grade for my child. I want to make sure that this happens. Though statistically, the research has shown that it's actually more important for your student to be motivated and engaged in school. And pretty much because it does get harder after third grade, we are starting to get grades, and our kids are just really pushed a lot more. So it's just something to keep in mind. So K through second grade learning is going to look like the basics. So we're looking at our math skills, we're adding, we're subtracting, we're multiplying. They're really trying to read and understand the text, okay? They're like just reading it and looking at it, okay, do I understand what's happening in the story? And a lot of times it's good to add those real world applications in, and we're trying to understand that, especially with math. So we're trying to understand, well, if I have three fruit, three oranges in my hand and one hand, and then on the other hand, I have like four apples, how many pieces of fruit do I have together? So we got 3 plus 4 equals 7. And how does that, look as an equation? So we really want to make sure we're having those real world application questions. I really tell parents to have that conversation with your child, even in the grocery store. So that's an important thing to think about. You can have that in the grocery store when they're with you. And I know sometimes they get distracted, or we might give them like some technology, but it's good to get them engaged so that they can have that K through second grade learning right there in the grocery store. Social skills are really important for our young kids too, as well. It's good that they can begin to learn and understand how kind of it works, in the world. And I know we have such a complicated world sometimes, but even just the social skills of everything from manners, so saying hello to someone, even when you're really tired and you're really uncomfortable. I mean, as an adult, sometimes I don't want to say hello to someone, but when you think about when you're at work, you have to do that. You have to like still say hello, how are you? And so, really working with your young child on how they can still say hi. One of the things that we do in our home, if we're talking and saying that, okay, we feel really uncomfortable and we're tired and we don't want to say hello, what about if you just do something that is nonverbal? So, what would that look like? And then it could be a wave, it could be a pound, something like that. So it's important to think about the social skills that you want to teach your child, and bring that into the world every day with your family. And I know there's a lot of different cultural dynamics that happen with social skills, but we want to set our children up for success. Routines are really, really good too, as well, in the home. So making sure that your routines are things that, that they can consistently do. And so again, we're prepping them for real life. And I will probably say, as an adult, I struggle with routine. And I think all of you can probably relate to that. Is that if you're struggling with routines, then you might be struggling with actually teaching that to your child too. So it's important to think about what are some ways you can do that. And it doesn't have to be just like hygiene. It could be, maybe they get their backpack together, or they put one thing in their backpack that they always have to remember. So we want to keep those things consistent. So we're learning those in school, because in school, what is happening is the routines are lining up to get up and go to, get go. We're lining up and we're going to fire drill. We're lining up to go to art class. We are also learning things like maybe raising your hand, or in some schools, they have a signal for using the bathroom. So a lot of these are based off of routine, because that's essentially what we're also teaching our kids in school is you're going to have routines, you're going to have to follow those things, and so that's what we're preparing you for. So again, going into learning at home. So they're learning these things in school. So how can we learn this at home? So reading at night before bed and taking turns. I encourage every parent to do this as early as possible. Even if your kid is not really reading, just start that reading, make it normalized. And when they start getting better, especially when kindergarten, and they start to learn words, how to say things, you're going to take turns. So they don't have to read the whole book, unless they want to, but we can take turns. So I'll read a page, you read a page. I'll read a sentence, you read a sentence. And so it's good that you're able to take turns to do that. As I mentioned, practicing math in stores are really important, going to the grocery store. A lot of times in the beginning, I was actually explaining with my little one things like coins. So she's just now start learning that more in first grade, but learning coins. So what is a quarter and how much is it worth? What is a dime? How much is it worth? What is a nickel? How much is it worth? Penny, how much is it worth, and what does that look like? And so it's good to practice that, in stores. I'm giving them change, dollars, seeing those dollars. It's $1 and another dollar. 1 plus 1 equals $2. So even saying that with them, if you're in the register area. I know a lot of people don't carry cash with you, but I do think it is important to still use cash, because we want that to still be their learning system when it comes to money. Otherwise, they just think that you can take a debit card and then put it in and swipe everything, which my little one has actually said before. And you could just easily put that in there and be okay. You're like, no, that's not how it works. Sorry. Having a system for homework is really good too as well. I'm going to show you a video about how you can have a system that's going to be helpful to you. So we'll get to that in a little bit. And as I said, social skills when talking with family. So, saying hello, even if you don't want to say hello. What does that look like? What do hugs look like? Or are you not doing giving a hug? Again, a lot of this is cultural about what you do in your home. Social studies, I remember I was in a Facebook group and someone was like, a parent was really upset because they're like, I don't see any social skills on on the calendar yet. And everyone was like, well, it's going to come. Like, it's not, it's okay. Math and reading are really important. So social skills and social studies in the home is going to look like walking around in your neighborhood and your community and really talking about everything from recycling to the environment, looking up in the planets and talking about that. That can be something that's important to do. The sun and the moon and the planets, and we have planet Earth, and really just talking about that in your neighborhood and your community. So that can be something that you do at home. So this is the system that we use for homework. So I get homework, hopefully everyone's school's like this, but I think this is the best system. In that yellow folder, there's the yellow folder that we get. One side says it goes home, one says keep at home, and then one side it goes back to school. So sometimes we're getting things in there. I'm taking the things that are the ones that are supposed to keep at home, and I'm going through it and seeing if it's anything I'm going to keep. And then I'm putting it in a red folder that I put like in my office or an office area, and it kind of sits in there. And so I kind of probably quarterly or maybe every few months go through that red folder and see if it's something that I really am supposed to be keeping or not keeping. But this keeps me from losing some of the documents that I have. And please let me know if you can relate to that. Is that like having documents and you're like, where's that document? Where's that thing that they asked us to do? And I put it in that red folder so that I always know. If it's a paper that says, hey, I need to return back to school, I encourage you fill it out right there. Have some pens around in your household where you can easily grab, fill it out right there, and then stick it back in the folder. It's going to take, if you think, oh, I'm going to wait tomorrow to do it, you're not going to do it. Take it out, fill it out, put it back in there. And then for homework, we try to do homework like, it depends. We try to do it right there, then, even though it might not be comfortable for my child, or we wait a little bit after extracurriculars and do it. You just have to feel that out. Also, there's no TV until the homework is done. That's what we did in kindergarten, and then we switched to the kind of being a little more lax. But I wanted first to kind of make sure that we did that. We also did kind of like a calming strategy where we listened to kind of calming YouTube videos first. And then we did homework when we came home. And then we didn't went to extracurriculars and TV. So you have to find what really works for you pretty much. Okay. So let me know in the chat if you have a system that you use that you found helpful, might be helpful for another parent. All right. Well, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this back to school guide to help you in really just maintaining your wellness as a parent, as you also help your child navigate back to school. So parenting and wellness is equaling generational wellness. Subscribe to the Mommy Consultant, and thank you so much for our back to school guide. All right, take care.